So this is the functional group portion of our video in organic chemistry, and it's basically just a review of the most important functional groups that you're going to need to know for the IB exam. Of course, there are a lot more, but this is pretty much just the core of those. So to start off with, obviously we have the different types of bonds between these groups and between the main part of the organic compound. So the bonds that can be formed are alkanes, or alkane bonds, which is just a single bond, and these have a very low reactivity rate, and they allow for free radical substitution. Then our next type of bond is alkenes, which is a double bond, and you can tell the difference between alkenes and alkanes by using a bromine solution. And then, of course, you have alkynes, which is your triple bond. So, important functional groups to remember include esters, and as you know from the lab that we did, these are responsible for the scents in perfumes. They also have an effect in food coloring, and yeah, it's just that double bonded oxygen to single bonded oxygen to the methane, and methane on the end. Of course, you can have different types of bonds around this, but this is just the core of that bond. Then you have carboxylic acid, sorry. And the group name for this is just carboxyl. The group name for ester is also just ester. For some, the group name of a functional group is the same name that is usually called, but for other times it's different. So that can be confusing, and it's important to know the difference in case IB asks in a specific way or style. But yeah, carboxylic acid just has that double bonded O to a carbon, and then off of that same carbon is an alcohol. So the alcohol, as you know, is just the oxygen and hydrogen bonded together, bonded to a carbon. And it's important to know in the standards, it says that you should be able to understand combustion, oxidation, condensation, types of reactions that include alcohols. Next, we have amides, and the group name for this is carboxamides, I believe. I don't know if it's as common for IB to refer to it as that, but again, just still important to have in the back of your head. Yeah, and this just has the double bonded oxygen and then the nitrogen as well. Then you have amine, which is just your nitrogen with the two hydrogens connected to the rest of your function, and the group name is amines. And there's primary and secondary and tertiary, but that's more specific, and I believe Leah will be going over that through the nomenclature process. Then you have your aldehydes, and that's just the double bonded oxygen to the carbon with another hydrogen bond, and it doesn't have a special group name, it's just aldehyde. Second to last is ketone, which has kind of a weird group name, carbonyl, which I always forget, so make sure you remember that. And it's just the double bonded oxygen to the carbon, and then the rest of your function connected to that carbon. And last but not least is ether, and that is the oxygen that has the single bond in between two carbons. So yeah, those are your functional groups. Like I said, There are a lot more, probably some I forgot to cover, sorry. But yeah, those are just the core ones that are really important to know for IB. Make sure you're aware of the difference between the normal functional group and then the group name. Those can kind of get confusing because, as you saw, some of it was the same and then others were different. So just make sure that that's something you're aware of.